everyone, I am Grace, the scheduling coordinator for NJ4S Union Hub, and today we'll be having our Monday presentation. Our presentation will be Roots and Renewal, Honoring Caribbean Heritage Through Wellness by Jennifer Destra. Some information about her. Jennifer Destra is currently a prevention consultant at NJ4S Union Hub. With a background in finance and professional sales, she made the switch after realizing how much mental health impacts every part of life, especially in communities where it's often overlooked. Now, as a master's student in school and clinical mental health counseling, she's dedicated to breaking cultural stigmas, making resources more accessible, and creating safe spaces for people from marginalized backgrounds to heal and grow. Outside of work, Jennifer creates content on holistic healing, self-discovery, and embracing authenticity. She's all about exploring new places, trying new things, soaking in scenic views, spending quality times with loved ones, and of course, enjoying good food. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to Jennifer for her presentation.
Thank you. I feel like that was so fitting to this topic. But yes, today we'll be talking about roots and renewal, honoring Caribbean heritage through wellness. Okay, so what are we talking about? Today we're going to be talking about how Caribbean heritage supports mind, body, spirit wellness, or, in other words, holistic wellness, and then how you can or already incorporate it because it is, Caribbean American Heritage Month. So I'm really excited for this topic because, shout out to the people. Okay, so what is holistic wellness? Holistic wellness is rooted in caring for the mind, body, spirit, and community together. This is a bit different from Western methods because it often teaches to treat one part at a time. So for example, over here, you would go to a therapist if you need to talk about mental health. You would go see a gynecologist. If you want to talk about women's health, you would go see a foot doctor, a hand doctor. There's a doctor for everybody. Whereas holistic wellness is more centered around few things or some things treat multiple parts of the body and treats also the mind, the spirit, the community, like it all works together. So I found this really cute quote. It was like, wellness in our culture didn't start with green juice, it started with grandma, because these things are deeply rooted in tradition. It's deeply rooted in years and years of like different remedies, different methods that people try to find, their source of healing. So a little bit about my personal experience. I am Haitian American, so my parents were born in Haiti, but they migrated here, but I was born here. And I felt like that experience definitely speaks to a little bit of navigating both. So my first thing was about like my growing up experience. I called it pills and potions because we were navigating Western medicine. So like, going to the doctor, taking medication here, but we're also balancing traditional healing and remedies and methods from home. And I found that like that made things kind of like we picked and choose. Like some moments we're like, okay, go rush to the hospital for this, but then some moments they're like, oh no, just take some Vicks and some tea and you'll be okay. So it's definitely like a balance there. Wellness in my demographic, it came from like herbs, faith, music, and family rituals. So like my family is a strong believer in like healing comes from the ground in God. So like we think that like everything, there's a solution for everything and it's in the earth. But also like it's deeply rooted in culture and it's deeply rooted in just like all these different traditions that makes up not just like how you are healthy physically, but how you're healthy in the mind and the body and all that. And then also growing up Haitian American, there's also that mental health stigma and balancing the two, because I feel like I grew up with kind of like this works mentality. There's all these like expectations and stereotypes of how mental health is perceived in the Caribbean community, but a lot of them migrating over here in America and having that experience here. Like even now I'm going to school for therapy. My parents thinks I'm just going to school to play with people's mind. But that works mentality that like life is just all about producing, whereas like now we're trying to encourage taking a step back and reflecting, it definitely creates like a little dissonance there. So moving on into ancestral healing practices, this is a very big way of how they do a lot of their healing, a lot of how holistic wellness works. So a lot of things are rooted in plant medicine. Like I said, a lot of things grow from the ground. Like they believe there's a herb, there's a tea for everything. I don't know if you got the grandmas, I don't know if you know if like your mom or your parents or your family like ever gave you some tea or some sort of rituals that is supposed to help with healing, but it's very big on that. Like, so teas, taking certain baths, having certain herbs and waters, doing certain rituals, whether it be like I know we have this thing called flixion, which is like when you're sick, like they take like rum, Vicks, and castor oil, and they like rub it together and they like burn it and then like put it on your body, and it's like supposed to make your body sweat so hard and sweat the fever out. But all these different types of like remedies is rooted in like healing practices. And then they're also very big on spiritual guidance, which we'll touch in a little bit. Another thing that they're really into is like sound healing. So especially in the Caribbean cultures, they're very big on music. I think that's just worldwide in general. Just sound and music does a lot to everybody. Like when you're feeling sad or when you're feeling any type of way, music has a way of healing as well too. But specifically in the Caribbean, they're very big on drums and different kinds of drums, very big on gospel, worship music, different types of music and dancing, because they feel like, that contributes to the body. Another thing that's part of the ancestral healing practices is intergenerational wisdom passed through women. So like there's traditions, there's things that you probably hear from your mom, from your grandma, like a grandma's secret recipe, or like, maybe how she got her man, or all this stuff, like all these different things that like they feel like the women held a lot of wisdom and passed it down to generations to come. So that you can pass it down to your children, and they're very big on that in the Caribbean as well too. A popular ancestral healing practice that I could think of in the Haitian community is we have this thing called bang, and it's basically like a womb cleansing bath. So they typically do this whether someone is trying to have a baby, after they're having a baby, or like or they're just trying to cleanse their womb. They have it similar here. They call it like a yoni steam or yoni bath, but it has a lot of herbs and water and all these things, and then you put like a towel over your head, and you're supposed to clean out the womb. But that's very popular. And then just excessive castor oil. Like if you're Haitian, or if you're just like any type of just foreign, or just in general, castor oil is the way to go. Like we use castor oil for everything, for food, for your body, whether you're sick. I don't know, like castor oil is just the way to go. So that's definitely like one of the big major ones. But yeah. Moving on into cultural resilience, which is also a huge aspect of wellness. So what this means is like healing and holistic wellness is not just about things that we do to stay healthy, but it's also how we bounce back from things. So it's the strength from culture to heal, to stay strong, and to support each other, because that also contributes into wellness. Like I'm already thinking of like the 8 dimensions of wellness. Safa talks about this all the time, but like it all works together, the whole 8 aspects, and there's different parts where you need people, and there's different parts where you also need experience, and you need to learn, and you need to do all these different things. So the way cultural resilience works is, especially in the Caribbean culture, they talk about like how joy, like finding joy through music, dance, celebration, even in tough times, helps with people's wellness. So for example, my family plays dominoes every day. Every day. They were playing last night. They're playing tonight. And like even though like maybe there's a mental health stigma in the Caribbean community because they don't talk about it as much, like there's a huge culture around community and a huge culture around like doing activities, hanging out with family, talking to each other, listening to music, doing those celebration that gets you through tough times. Another thing that they're big on following up is community care. So this is like potlucks. If someone passed away or if someone is going through a tough time, the first thing people are thinking of is, oh, I gotta cook for so and so, or I gotta bring food to so and so, or we need to feed them, like because we believe in taking care of the community together. Another big thing is prayer lines. 6 a.m. prayer lines, 3 a.m. prayer lines, they just praying. So, what you call it? Just having that community and like also other things like having festivals, island views, these are all things that bring healing together. Another big thing that contributes to the wellness of the Caribbean community, and I just think communities in general, is just connection to the land. Like having those memories of where you came from and the nature surrounding your environment reminds you of your roots and bring peace. So like I ain't gonna lie, I came back from a little island and I'm just like it just made me realize like how much better like the food is out there and the sun is out there and just like it brings a sort of peace that makes you realize that like life does not have to be as hard as we make it to be sometimes. And then another big thing that kind of ties it all is just that whole family aspect and mutual aid. So this is like relying on family and neighbors and community for support. And they're very big on that because they kind of feel like you cannot do life alone. Like I know for me, like I've been born and raised in Jersey and majority of my family is in Jersey. And I know like I'd probably be the one to leave, but like they're very big on like staying in touch with family, having that community for like when tough times hit. Faith and spirituality, moving on, this is like a central focus in the wellness and Caribbean heritage. So they're very big into like deep faith practices like prayer, fasting, and psalms, which are like, daily prayers, devotions. They're like a daily part of life. So they like to believe that like, being connected to something divine or having that spiritual connection also helps with that cultural resilience because it allows you to remind you like why you're here. So it's not limited to just one background. There's so many diverse spiritual traditions, including Christianity, Muslim, Voodoo, Rastafari, Pentecostalism. There's so many different types of traditions, but it's a very central focus in the Caribbean heritage because it's kind of like the basis of how like they maneuver a lot of things. Like everything is rooted in something. It's not just like, medicine and research. It's more like, okay, how does this connect to the earth and how does this connect to why I'm here and having those big thinking questions. So they're very big and we're very big into like, honoring God, honoring your ancestors, spiritual connections, however you connect spiritually, it's a part of like keeping you grounded and guides your healing. So that's just a very big thing. I think like that's the central focus, to be honest, because like I grew up hearing people pray in the middle of the night, and I'm like, okay, but it definitely like ties a lot into my own personal journey as well. Like every demographic, every diaspora, they have their challenges, especially like in the Caribbean American aspect. There's a very big mental health stigma. So there's like silence or shame around therapy, anxiety, or depression. And I think it's because like going back to like that works mentality. Hold on, sorry. Going back to that works mentality, it's really like they really don't talk about these things. They don't talk about like these type of like when you have emotions or you have a lot of pent up anxiety. Like they think it's just like temporary because there's so many other things to focus on, which is kind of like a problem that, I think we're still working on, but I think we're moving. I think our generation is the one that's going to have to break it. Another problem is like forced gender roles and expectations. So, like, with the Caribbean backgrounds, they have expectations of how certain genders are supposed to perform, whether like the men are supposed to be providers, or the women are supposed to be strong and be married or have kids, or do all these things and bear a lot of roles within a certain time frame, which kind of causes like strain in performance and continuing in that works mentality. Another problem is that whole hustle culture and burnout. Like, I don't think they believe burnout exists. Like, they just get sick and they just be like, oh, it was like the devil or something. But the reality is, like, when you overwork yourself, you're bound to burn out. So they don't have that balance between, working hard for the things that you want in life, but also taking rest when needed without feeling guilty about it or feeling lazy about it. And then another problem we have within the community is that cultural disconnection. So sometimes people feel pressure to assimilate, especially navigating two backgrounds, being Haitian American. Sometimes, like, if you're not born in the country, like, it makes it harder for you to connect because they feel like you're only half of the culture. So you feel this pressure to either like learn as much as you can and hope to be accepted, or you completely lose touch with the heritage. And this is also applying to people who move from different countries because they might try to like adapt with their hosts. Okay, so redefining wellness today, because although we have those challenges, and you could probably think of like even the difference between the generation now and like maybe your parents or your grandparents and how they maneuvered, it definitely like is different. And there's a lot of things that we believe that I feel like we are making way for in the community. So therapy and ancestral healing can coexist. I think that's something that I am trying to like drill down in this household, because that mental health stigma is real, and you start to realize when you finally have conversations when you're older, you realize that like they went through so much trauma and they just don't address it. They just kind of keep going through it and like not taking any accountability, and that's not healthy. Another way to redefine wellness today is like movement through dance, walking, joyful workouts. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like I was eating a lot when I be going to Haiti or like in other countries and stuff. But like I feel like because I'm always walking, or like I'm outside, I'm getting sunlight, like I'm just constantly in movement, I didn't feel as heavy as I would compared to here. So I feel like one thing we don't do as much over here is like move more, like trying to dance more, listen to music, walking, go outside, get vitamin D. Especially for my melanated people, we need vitamin D. We need the sun. It is we're going through a deprivation over here. But you need to up your vitamins and get those supplements that contribute to your wellness, because it's probably contributing to like why you may be fatigued. Um, Another thing is foods that nourish. So there's a lot of empty carbs, a lot of empty food, things that are not as nutritional over here. And we want to eat more foods that nourish us. So this could be like coconut water, making sure you're getting electrolytes, staying hydrated, yam, like really thick, like vegetables, carbs, starches that are really filling you up, herbs that are really good for you that does different things. Like, even if you're on your menstrual cycle, there's different things that you can take and different things that you can do that help with different parts of the body and the mind. And even spices as well too, like the different things that we season our foods with. Like, culture is so vast, and it contributes a lot to like how we design ourselves, like how our body grows, and what we put into it. And then another thing that's really important, especially like I feel like that I try to incorporate even myself, because I didn't grow up with that notion, is sacred rest and boundaries. Because having that, you're not supposed to live life alone, but also your life is your own. So you do need to, have the time to like have a balance between working and resting and saying no to the things that you feel like is going to hurt you in the long run. Because when you're sick by yourself. And there's a saying, simply let your yes be yes and your no be no. Because you want to mean what you say and say what you mean. And you don't want to have like any regrets, because it only comes back to bite you. So you want to make sure that in wellness, it's not just about like, performing and doing, but also allowing yourself and your body to catch up with what you're doing. So yeah, I'm trying to keep up with these comments. My daughter's grandma makes orange and ginger tea. I do like orange and ginger tea, actually. Okay. All right. So some tools for renewal. So for the mind, because this is holistic wellness we talking about here. So it's not just, it's not just about medicine. It's about everything. So for the mind, there's a lot of things that you can do to benefit your wellness. You can journal. And when I just say journaling, it's just finding a way to take what's in your head and put it out. Like, you need outlets, because if you keep everything in your head, like, it's not good for you. So you want to find ways to like find healthy outlets to release whatever's on your mind. Another thing is digital detox. Compared to in other countries, we are on our phone way too much. Like, I'm not gonna lie, somebody even told me that I barely talk to them because I look at my phone. And I realized that it's very important to take digital detoxes, because you need to connect with the space around you. Like, there's so many things going on, and when we're plugged in on our phone, and I actually read this thing that was basically saying, like, when you swipe on TikTok reels, like, it's messing up with your short-term memory, because you're programming your brain to like process information at such a fast speed that you can't even remember like the last 3 TikToks you watched. Another thing is learning. So learning new things, trying new things. This definitely engages the mind. And then speaking life through affirmations. Like, whether we like to believe it or not, what you say about yourself, like, really determines how you move. And I'm not gonna lie, I feel like Caribbeans also really know how to curse somebody out. But I also do feel like there's a way of speaking life through affirmation. So telling yourself that things are going to be okay, or like speaking positivity into yourself, is gonna help you with your wellness. For your body, herbal remedies, mindful moving, actually getting up and moving. Like, I don't know if y'all got that Apple Watch that I tell y'all, like, you need to stand up. We got a desk job. Like, we need to stand up every now and then, because the belly be feeling it. And just experience, like, whether it's traveling, whether it's stepping out and touching grass, whether it's just trying new things, like experiencing things, experiencing life, going to a festival, going to a concert, listening to a new song of a different background. These all things are great for your renewal. And then resting without guilt, because it's not laziness when you've been working hard and you are tired, because we're not going to exhaust ourselves sick. And that's definitely common in the community. Spirit, so engaging your spirit, whether it's lighting a candle, whether it's taking some time to pray, whether it's listening to worship music or music that is beneficial for your soul. Because there's a lot of noise in the world, and there's a lot of things that we're doing to fill up time, and things that are competing for our space and time. So we need to find things to like engage with our spirit, engage with ourselves, and that could just be sitting in stillness, because engaging in your spirit, sometimes like creation, and I was just talking about this with Alex, but sometimes creation and sometimes the world and newness meets you in stillness, because you're giving space for you to process and think. And then a big one is community. So I mean, I put build sisterhood, but build any type of community, whether it's like-minded community, finding people with shared interests, finding a support system, also sharing meals, eating with people. That's like my favorite hobby, eating with people, because it's great. Like, and then storytelling, and that's where a lot of like the culture comes from too, like sitting down, sharing stories, telling people your experience, because people benefit from the things you go through, and healing happens together. So a closing reflection, what is one small wellness ritual that you want to start or restart this month? It is like, what is it, June 9th? June, we're like basically in the halfway point of the year. And so like maybe something that you like forgot, or maybe something that you want to do. Like, I know for me, like I definitely want to go outside and touch grass more. I definitely want to get my body moving. Let's see what's in the comments. Yeah, so writing affirmations, telling yourself these things, going to the gym, being more in the moment and being mindful. That's good. Yoga every day. Okay, period. NJ4S Union. So, yes. So, there's a lot of different things you could do. Maybe it's sipping tea, finding herbal teas, going to a herbal garden, a community garden, and sipping tea like your grandma did. Maybe it's learning a new recipe, like, or eating more natural foods. Maybe it's booking that flight, okay? I strongly recommend. But, or just changing your scenery, going outside, touching grass, being connected with outside, getting some sun, changing your scenery. Sometimes we get stuck in the same scenery and it's not good for the mental health. Or spending quality time, or having that deep conversation. One thing I know that is like, really strong in like my season of, trying to build cultural wellness for me is like asking my parents or asking my family questions about my culture, or questions about like mental health that I didn't grow up having the space to ask. Or just having the deep conversations that bring you peace of mind, because although they may be difficult sometimes, it brings insight, and that's also a good thing for wellness. Or just taking a quiet moment to pray, or however you connect spiritually, just taking some time to be with yourself. Like, we be on that phone, and we be on that phone real bad. But, taking some time to pray, or taking some time to be with yourself, or sit in stillness, or journal, or meditate, or seek whatever mental health services that you need that is going to benefit you in the future is needed. So I just want to thank you guys for being here, for listening, and for remembering, because I think it's very important to honor your culture, not just with Caribbean Heritage Month, but whatever background you're in, whatever things that you like to experience, or whatever things that, like, even if you're not familiar with your culture, like taking that time to know, or taking an ancestry test if you need to know. But that's really all. So I'm trying to like go to the next slide. But thank you, or Messi. So that's really it.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. And thank you so much to Jennifer, too, for educating us about our cultural wellness. If you want to give feedback on Jennifer's presentation, you can just use the link in the chat that I just put in. You can just scroll up a bit. We would greatly appreciate it. Our submissions are anonymous, and it helps improve the quality of our presentations. And if you enjoyed this presentation and you want to keep up with what NJ4S Union Hub is doing in our community, you can follow us on social media at NJ4S Union. Or if you have any questions about our programming, you can just email us at NJ4SUnion@preventionlinks.org. Thank you again for joining us, and have a great rest of your day.